with Brian Shapiro and Jamie D.
Happy Thursday, everybody. It is Pushing the Limits. So glad you could join us.
So happy.
Oh, yeah. We got a firecracker show today. Yeah. We're going to have some fun today. And as usual on Pushing the Limits, serious topics, fun topics, entertainment, sports, gambling, politics. We do it all on this show because we love you that much. Anyway, welcome to the show.
We love y'all hard.
And we got some great guests lined up for you today. When I said a firecracker of a show, every single time this lady comes in studio, we always get into a very good, heated debate. Respectful, but heated. Ronda Kennedy's running for senator here in the great state of Nevada. And, you know, Ryan, why are you injecting race into this? Well, because I'm going to point it out because I think it's important to talk about this. There are not a ton of black Republicans running for office, certainly not in the state of Nevada. She happens to be a black female Republican and a staunch Donald Trump supporter, so we're going to talk to her about that. She's going to be coming in here in the bottom of the hour. Going to talk, speaking of which, we're going to be talking about Tim Scott. He sort of alluded to the fact that he might be running for president in 2024, and he put this video out there, exploratory video, as it's called. We're going to talk a little bit about Tim Scott, and of course, Jamie. As people can see, you happen to be a black man.
Do I happen to be black, or am I black?
unless I'm Mr. Magoo. So I want to get your thoughts on Tim Scott as well.
Let's talk about it.
So we'll get into that here in a little bit. Let's start off with this, shall we? Let's start off with Donald Trump. Let's start off with Fox News. Let's start off with Dominion voting machines. I guess it does have something to do with Donald Trump because he's the one who started the BS about I won the election in a landslide and Democrats cheated, which anybody with an IQ over 10 understands that was a lie.
Right.
But now we have this Dominion voting machine. You know, we've had this lawsuit over Fox News, and unless you've been living under a rock, basically what it is the Fox News hosts and those behind Fox News, like Murdoch and those guys, they knew that this was BS. They knew that this was crap. Yet the host knew it was garbage too, but yet they put things on the air as they do every night, knowing that it's false, attacking Dominion voting machines, and they did it knowingly. And now they're getting sued for over $1 billion.
As they should.
So,
being held accountable. Yeah.
So the latest in this case, and by the way, jury selection started today. This is a case that is going to be talked about every day. It's a big case. But the latest yesterday is another blow to Fox News and their attorneys. The judge overseeing this defamation case said that he plans to appoint an outside attorney to investigate whether the right-wing network lied to the court and withheld key evidence and sanctioned Fox over the matter. This is big because basically what the judge is saying is the defense attorneys for Fox News are withholding evidence and lying, which is a big deal, especially in a case that's got, you know, over $1 billion. What I'm surprised about this case is this. Why hasn't Fox News settled? Why do they want this case continuing to go on? I don't know. Are they just stubborn? Because I feel like at some point they're just going to say, all right, let's pay him this amount of money and let's move on. This is not good for Fox News.
At all.
It's not hurting the ratings of Fox News because the people that watch Fox News
are oblivious.
Enjoy hearing what they want to hear, whether it's true or not. This is the base of Fox News, and quite frankly, it's the base of the Republican Party today. Even if it's not true, tell me what I want to hear. Tell me about Hunter Biden's laptop. Tell me about how Joe Biden is in the bunker. Tell me about how transgenders are ruining the country. Tell me about how the sky is falling because Joe Biden is president. Tell me about how the 2020 election was stolen. And in this case, tell me that it was Dominion voting machines, and that's why Donald Trump lost the 2020 election and Kerry Lake won in Arizona. Those are what most people that watch Fox News want to hear. Occasionally, when I put on Fox News, I try to hear a different side, even though I know most of it's BS. But most people that watch Fox News just enjoy hearing what they want to hear, whether it's true or not. So the sanction in a courtroom imposed against Fox will allow Dominion to conduct additional depositions of some Fox witnesses. If they want to, at the late stages in the case, Fox must make those witnesses available to pay for the depositions, including people like Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, et cetera, et cetera. And what's amazing to me is you've already heard from Fox News executives. when there was a lawsuit against Tucker Carlson, you already heard executives and the big bosses at Fox News, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically say, you can't believe what Tucker says because he's just an entertainment guy. Everybody can't, put into what he says as fact and truth. His own bosses said that. It's okay to have an opinion, right? You can have an opinion even though you're a clown if you think that Donald Trump if you think Donald Trump won the 2020 election, you're a clown. But that's an opinion. I guess you could have that opinion, and you can't really get sued for that. But when you knowingly show up to work and you have a big platform, like a Sean Hannity or a Tucker Carlson, and you know that Dominion voting machines were legit and that there was no widespread voter fraud, but yet you go on your show anyway and you spread lies and nonsense, and then behind closed doors, you'll send text messages and you'll make phone calls and you'll tell people, yeah, this is all horse crap. That's when you can get sued, and that's why I think that the Dominion's company has a tremendously good case here, and I think Fox News is in a lot of trouble. This is also a lot of money. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens here. And by the way, it's okay to be biased, right? You're not going to get sued if you're biased, but you can't outright lie, and you can't say things on the air that you know are false, knowingly misleading people. That's the difference. You can be biased. For example, if you don't want to criticize Joe Biden for anything and you just want to criticize Republicans and Donald Trump or vice versa, that's bias, but you're not necessarily lying. When you go on a show and you knowingly are spreading false information, that's when you can get sued for defamation, and that's where you can lose $1 billion. That's the difference. This isn't necessarily about being biased. It's about knowingly lying. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to be biased. It's not okay to knowingly lie about things and hurt a company. And that's exactly what Fox News has done in this situation.
And Brian, just to clarify, you think the lying and the hurting comes from the text messages, not from what they actually spewed on air. Can you clarify?
No. It's the opposite, Jamie.
Okay. I just want you to clarify.
It's the opposite.
Okay.
What they said behind closed doors in text messages would not hurt anybody. The reason why it's become public is because of the lies they said on the air. Okay,
I'm talking, as everyone knows, I am commenting live on YouTube and Instagram, and some people were a little confused, so I needed you to clarify that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. On the air, Fox News hosts lied about the 2020 election.
Sure did.
They lied about Dominion voting machines being partially responsible for Donald Trump losing. They knew that that was bullcrap.
Right.
And how do we know that? Murdoch, the guy who runs Fox News, admitted it in a deposition. He admitted that he knew, and many of the hosts knew, that this was horse crap, that Dominion voting machines were not responsible for the results of the 2020 election being, as they claimed, were false, which are lies. When I say text messages, okay, I shouldn't say prosecutors, but the attorneys representing Dominion in this defamation case, they were able to see some of these text messages and see some of these private conversations. And in these private conversations, it has been proven that many of these hosts and employees at Fox News knew that this was a lie. And yet they said it on the air as if it was fact anyway. That's why they are going to lose this case.
And you see what I was saying for the past week and a half, I want the media to be held accountable for the things they put in the world. Out on media platforms. You are a media platform that people respect, people look up to, and people want to look for news. If you're lying, you need to be held accountable for that, and you should not be able to spew those things.
And it's so hilarious, too, because when I actually spell out facts and what's really going on here, some people will say, oh, you're getting paid by the Democrats. Jeez, I wish Democrats were
Can y'all please pay us?
I wish Democrats were paying me. I've always spoken for myself. I've been on the air for 20 years. These are my thoughts, my opinions, and in this case, facts. Fact. Fox News employees and hosts were intentionally lying and knowingly lying about Dominion voting machines in the 2020 election. If you don't believe me, then you can hear from Mr. Murdoch, who runs Fox News, because in a deposition, he admitted that. So if you think I'm getting paid by Democrats to spew this stuff, then I guess you think the leader of Fox News is getting paid by Democrats as well. You obviously have no idea what you're talking about and what this case entails. Why are we talking about it today? Well, besides the judge in this case, right, besides the judge and this in this defamation case, in this big ruling yesterday, that the judge is basically claiming that Fox News attorneys are lying and withholding evidence, which is not good look for them. The reason why we're talking about it today is because jury selection started today. This is a monumental case.
Sure is.
This is a big case. You have the right, freedom of speech, to say what you want, but there are always consequences for your words. Always. You can't knowingly lie about something. You can't say something knowing that it is BS and then spew it on the air anyway. That's where defamation comes into play. And that's why Fox News is in a lot of trouble here.
Yep.
And it's going to continue that way. And I think they're going to have to pay up, and they're going to have to pay up big time. Now, the other big story coming out in the last 24 hours, if you want to call it that, is Mr. Tim Scott.
Ooh,
so Tim
Mr.
Scott basically saying he's going to run for office as president of the United States. He's going to run for president. He put out this exploratory video. I guess that's what I'm going to call it, an exploratory video, talking about him, what he stands for. And basically it's a tester, but I believe he's still going to run for office. He has no chance to win.
Before you get into this, though, because a lot of people who are tuning in today probably don't know what exploratory committee for president of the United States means. I didn't know, to be honest. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I had to Google it. And from what I got from it was that when you announce an exploratory committee for the president of the United States, that's pretty much saying that you're able to withhold your financial reports and not have to report them until you actually become a candidate. And they're saying that you get a few more stipulations that you don't have to follow if you were an actual candidate. Do you know more about this that you can explain to people who are just now listening in?
I'm going to put it in layman's terms.
Yes, exploratory committee for dummies.
I'm not officially saying,
one of them.
I'm not officially saying I'm running for president yet, but it's going to happen. I'm going to put out a video. I'm going to put out the forewarning is what I call it. There are not many people that put out an exploratory committee and then don't run. Right. It's very, very rare.
Also, they did say on CNN that the benefits for the exploratory committee is that you get more news press outside of if you're just the candidate.
Correct. That is very true. So Tim Scott is a black Republican who is I'm going to say he is a Trump supporter. He has talked in the past about racial issues and how he was pulled over 10 times just because of the color of his skin. It's interesting now, though.
Even though in the video he's like, I had all the great opportunities.
We're going to get to that now, because in the past he's talked about issues facing the black community, but it is very interesting because in this exploratory video, he doesn't really talk about the hardships of black people. It's very, very interesting. We're going to play a little bit of it. We're going to do like a stop and go here because he really gets into a lot. But this is Tim Scott's video. I believe it to be an official video of him announcing he's running for president of the United States. But anyway, this is Tim Scott in his own words. Listen to this.
On this day, April 12th, 1861, in this harbor, the first shots of the Civil War were fired. And our country faced the defining moment. Would we truly be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all? America's soul was put to the test, and we prevailed. Today, our country is once again being tested. Once again, our divisions run deep.
Stop it for a second.
And the threat to...
Oh, my God. Could you be any more generic with liberty and justice for all? Wow, that's really original, Timmy. That's really... Where'd you get that line from? Can you be any more generic to start this video?
He thought he had that fire.
I mean, it's just pathetic. Anyway, go ahead. Liberty and justice for all.
Once again, our divisions run deep, and the threat to our future is real.
Yeah, why do our divisions run deep? Maybe it's something to do with your own party. Why do our divisions run deep? Maybe because you supported the divider-in-chief, Donald Trump. He says our divisions run deep. We are more divided now politically and racially than we've been in my lifetime. Why is that, Mr. Scott? Is it all Democrats and liberals? Is that why? Or maybe is it because of the people in your own party? Why don't you look in the mirror and look at the people in your own party who you seem to brown nose? Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Kevin McCarthy, just to name a few. Why are we so divided? Because of some of the morons in your own party. Go ahead, Mr. Scott. Continue.
Biden and the radical left have chosen a culture of grievance over greatness. They're promoting victimhood instead of personal responsibility And they're indoctrinating our children to believe.
You're saying they're promoting victimhood. The one thing I know Republicans to do is to play the victim. They straddle the line, they deflect 24/7, and they create falsities about the true narrative. But you want to say Democrats play victim. Okay.
It was Tim Scott a few years ago. And by the way, I agree with him when he talks about what it's like being black in this country. He's the one who said he's been pulled over 10 times. After George Floyd, he made some public comments. He said, I've been pulled over 10 times by cops because of the color of my skin. Now, that is a victim. I wouldn't make fun of him and say, oh, you're playing victim.
You're not playing victim.
No,
you are a victim. It's a difference.
Right. And he's saying that Democrats play victimhood when it's Republicans that are saying, oh, we're being censored on social media. Conservatives are being censored everywhere. What is he talking about? Anyway, go on. This is funny. It's like a comedy skit on Saturday Night Live. Go ahead.
They're indoctrinating our children to believe we live in an evil country. And all too often, when they get called out for their failures, they weaponize race to divide us, to hold on to their power.
Weaponize race.
When I fought back against their liberal agenda, they called me a prop.
Pause. They called you a prop and a token because you are a prop and a token, Mr. Tim Scott. I need you to understand the narrative you're pushing as an African-American man. I want to make this very clear. There's nothing wrong with being an African-American Republican. There's something wrong with being an African-American Republican who's not talking about the truth, who's believing in all the different lies that a lot of people in the Republican Party spew, who's also not trying to be for the people. You're being for your own gain. This entire thing so far is about me, and you're trying to disguise it as I'm here for others. Make it make sense.
I mean, it's one thing if a white person calls somebody a token. Some people would call them racist, but it's another thing if a black person calls another black person a token. So I'll let that one be. It's interesting because he's doing exactly the red meat of the Republican Party, the scare tactics. Democrats are indoctrinating our children. Oh, really? Where? How many of the 300,000 teachers, how many of those teachers are indoctrinating our kids, you dope? Indoctrinating our kids. God, red meat of the right. And notice he has no solutions in this video. Nothing except Democrats. They're ruining the country. They're indoctrinating our kids. They're weaponizing race to divide.
Can I say this really quick? You might disagree with me wholeheartedly. I think every political party is indoctrinating kids somehow. The reason I say that is because everyone is trying to get a agenda followed. So stop saying that one party is indoctrinating children when I look at what the Republicans do all the time, and you're not even I keep saying this. You're not saying things that are true. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying you're literally spewing lies, but you want to say Democrats who are trying to talk about what's happening in the world when it pertains to race and sexuality, that's apparently indoctrinating our children and lying.
Let's go back to Tim Scott, who claims that Democrats are calling him a token. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
A token, because I disrupt their narrative. I threaten their control. They know the truth of my life disproves their lies. See, I was raised by a single mother in poverty. The spoons in our apartment were plastic, not silver. But we had faith. We put in the work, and we had an unwavering belief that we too could live the American dream. I know America is a land of opportunity, not a land of oppression. I know it because I've lived it. That's why it pains my soul to see the Biden liberals attacking every rung of the ladder that helped me climb. If the radical left gets their way, millions more families will be trapped in failing schools, crime-ridden neighborhoods, and crushing inflation. Not on my watch. This is personal to me. I will never back down in defense of the conservative values
why don't you
that
tell
make
me,
America.
Mr. Scott, what your policies will be that will solve all the crime in this country? You buffoon.
Mr. Tim fixed my life. Ayana saying, not on my watch. Oh, I couldn't.
Then he, again, a generic statement how the Democrats are lying. What lies? Notice how he calls Democrats liars, but he has no specifics on what they're lying about. Notice how he says he's going to fix all the crime, but he has no specific solutions on how he's going to do it. Here's another typical politician who puts out this video. By the way, he won't even get 1% of the vote. He has, let me just be clear on this right now. Tim Scott has literally No chance to be the next president of the United States. He won't get 1% of the vote. Let's finish this stupid video. Go ahead.
Ridden neighborhoods and crushing inflation. Not on my watch. This is personal to me. I will never back down in defense of the conservative values that make America exceptional. And that's why I'm announcing my exploratory committee for President of the United States. I will defend the Judeo-Christian foundation our nation is built on and protect our religious liberty. I will stand up to communist China and restore opportunities for hard-working Americans to thrive and prosper. I will fight to give every parent a choice in education so their children have a better chance in life. I will defend our borders and our neighborhood streets, and I will protect our most fundamental right, the right to life itself. I bear witness that America can do for anyone what she has done for me, but we must rise up to the challenges of our time. This is a fight we must win, and that will take faith. Faith in God, faith in each other, and faith in America. God bless our United States of America, and God bless you.
Oh, so Mr. Scott, God bless you. Hey, before we get into this, right, because we had a conversation about pronouns yesterday. How do you feel about him saying she as the pronoun for the United States of America? Because she is the one who's backed him up. Just come on, make a comment on it. Make a comment on it.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think too much about that. Here's what I do think. In that 3-minute video, which was pathetic, he basically is saying he wants to take away every woman's right to choose, which, by the way, the minority view, Republicans and Democrats, over 60% of them believe in a woman's right to choose. So that's number one. He continually talks about faith, yet he's brown-nosed Donald Trump for years. And when asked yesterday, how are you going to defeat Donald Trump, he avoids the question. And that's the biggest question within the Republican Party now. You could be asking Ron DeSantis or any Republican or Nikki Haley, how do you defeat Donald Trump? And they're avoiding the question. They won't answer it when that's the only question that people should be asking them, because you're not going to defeat Donald Trump. That's number two. Unless he's convicted of a felony, that's the only way. In that 3-minute video, he literally has no solutions to any problems. He doesn't come up with anything policy-wise. He puts his hand down and says he's going to end all the crime in this country. Doesn't tell us how he's going to do that. He might as well be talking about the tooth fairy, because he doesn't give any solutions to any of the issues. He talks about how Democrats are indoctrinating children. Doesn't give any specific examples on that either. Again, wants to take away a woman's right to choose. He talks about how Democrats call themselves victims, and yet then he talks about how people call him a token black man. So that's a double entendre, is it not? Democrats call themselves victims, but I'm getting sick of being called the token black guy.
Yep.
I mean, he contradicts himself in the video. No specifics to literally any issues that he wants to change. He attacks Democrats, says they're weaponizing race, but yet the party that has the fewest minorities are not Democrats, Republicans. Why are there so few black people and minorities within the Republican Party? He won't answer those questions because he's a coward.
It's not benefiting them.
Yeah. Tim Scott, let me repeat it once again, has zero chance of becoming the next president of the United States. He will never be the next president of the United States. He is not 5% as smart as Barack Obama or as well-spoken as Barack Obama. And Barack Obama resonated. He resonated with a lot of people in this country. Like him or hate him, that's just a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Scott, especially within the Republican Party. You know, maybe if he was a Democrat and his views are different, he'd maybe get a little more support. In the Republican Party, he ain't getting votes.
Now, Brian, quick second. So we have a lot of people commenting live today. Our YouTube has the most participants it has ever had today, so I want to clap it up for that. However, you're talking about an African-American man who is Republican. One of the commenters says, Brian has no clue what it's like to be anything but a white guy. He rides the coattails of others. Sure. How do you talk about black people's problems?
Anybody who makes a statement like that knows absolutely nothing about me. The first thing I always do is I listen to people that are black, and I listen to people that I don't know what it's like being in their shoes. That's number one. So this person has no idea what they're talking about. One of my best friends, and I'm not going to play the card of, one of my best friends is
Brian,
black.
don't you do it.
But a good friend of mine, I work with her, and she runs the NAACP in Las Vegas. She's the president. Her name is Roxanne McCoy. And what I do is I try to go to events with her, and I try to speak with black leaders, and I try to learn. Unlike people that make statements like that, I actually do things to try to help minorities, not just in Las Vegas, but throughout the country. And I talk about these issues on this show every single day. It could be police brutality. It could be equal pay. I've been to Black Lives Matter protest. I'm on the side of the movement. So when somebody makes a statement like that, they know nothing about me personally. And that is also why I vote for people that I believe are in the good hearted people that do care about the black community. So anyone who makes a statement like that has absolutely no idea
Brian,
what they're talking about.
Before you go
take
on,
a break.
we got to take a break, but I need you to comment on this too. There's a few people who are saying, but do you listen to the black Republicans? You seem like you're straddling the line on that right now.
Well, I've tried to listen to Tim Scott, who is a black Republican, and I don't believe anything he says. We just played his 3-minute video. He had no solutions. He had no answers. So listen, our next guest happens to be black. So,
a black woman at that.
We had Doc Walls in studio the other day, who happens to be black, who's running for mayor of the great city of Las Vegas. So again, anybody who makes a statement like that has absolutely no idea what they're talking about, and they don't know me personally. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, joining us in studio to talk about these issues and many more issues, her name is Ronda Kennedy. She's been in here before. She's running for state senator here in the great state of Nevada. So she will be joining us next. I'll ask her what she thinks of Tim Scott. I might ask her a few Donald Trump questions as well. We'll see how that goes.
And before we end this show, Brian,
we're definitely not ending the show.
No, sorry. No, before we go on break, sorry. I'm commenting live, so somebody said end. Before we go on break, Brian, I want to let you know that we're getting a lot of comments on our shirts today. People are saying we look great. They love the shirts. And some people actually want to buy them. Okay. One person also says, can we do a Funky Friday and tie-dye shirts? I have to put that out there.
I'll be like Donald Trump. If it's a way for me to sell a coffee mug and it's a way for me to make money, I'll take a page from the Donald Trump playbook. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Ronda Kennedy going to be joining us in studio. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Then join one of the fastest growing talk shows, Pushing the Limits. We have a wide range of sales packages that can fit your budget. Anything from on-site live remotes to in-studio interviews. Email Jamie at jamiedee@kshp.com. That's JAIMEDEE@kshp.com.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
ZenWorld Premium CBD offers full and broad-spectrum CBD oil, extracts, and capsules which are designed to help you feel your best. Their products are sourced from the best organic hemp and natural ingredients on the market and are tested for quality, purity, and potency. They have a full range of items from health and wellness to beauty to pets. Call 725-205-9223. Visit online at zenworld.com or stop by their location at 9895 South Maryland Parkway and Silverado Ranch Parkway. Mention KSHP for 10% off in-store or use code KSHP online for 15% off.
Locally owned and operated, come on down to Academy of Hair Design located at 5191 West Charleston Boulevard, number 150, today to begin your career in cosmetology. There is something for everyone from cosmetology to nail technology. You will be able to have the hands-on training that is needed to succeed in this career field. Call 702-878-1185 or visit www.ahdvegas.com today.
The London Bridge Resort in Lake Havasu is the perfect place to vacation in style. Their beautifully designed suites include stunning views, a kitchenette, and free Wi-Fi. The well-reviewed and affordable resort has tons of amenities, including a breakfast buffet, kids camp, a 9-hole golf course, 3 pools, a marina, boat tours, a water slide, and a great nightlife scene. London Bridge Resort is centrally located in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. Go to londonbridgeresort.com to plan your getaway today. London Bridge Resort, your Arizona oasis destination.
Hungry for the best barbecue in Las Vegas? Come out to the infamous Barbecue and Meat Market, John Moles Meats and Roadkill Grill in Las Vegas. John Moles was featured on the Food Network's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Now take home delicious meat selections for your grill, and while you're there, grab a bite of the best barbecue in Las Vegas. With 2 locations now at Tom and Gowan or on North Decatur, you're sure to find the perfect meats for your next barbecue or party. Find us online at johnmolemeats.com.
Big Dog's Brewing Company, open 24/7, is an award-winning brewery, a full-service catering business, and a fun, smoke-free brew pub restaurant with a full-service bar, including over 35 craft beers on tap, 35 multi-denomination slot machines, the best gaming promotion, and a lively, dog-friendly outdoor patio. Big Dog's Brewing Company, 4543 North Rancho at Gray. Find out more at BigDogsBrews.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Along with Jamie D, I'm Brian Shapiro. And, we had the lady, a lovely lady that's in studio with us right now. I had her in a few other times. I don't know, on TikTok, hundreds of thousands of views. So we got into some heated debates. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't mind a good debate with somebody as long as it's respectful, and it was. So I'm talking about Ronda Kennedy. She's running for Nevada Senator as a Republican. And I said, why don't you come back here in studio? You know, we had Doc Walls in studio the other day. I have Republicans in here more than Democrats, that's for sure. A lot of Democrats want to come in here, and I'm like, well, I really just don't want to have a love affair with you and agree on how horrible Republicans are these days. I'd rather talk to a Republican and get into it. So Rhonda's joining us.
Right now.
Rhonda, thank you for being here, by the way.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's always great.
don't be afraid to talk into that microphone. It will not bite you. There you go.
Yeah, what is it, a Democrat microphone?
I don't know about Brian,
Might
but the mic will be fine.
Yeah.
Well, Rhonda, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. We have so much to get to with you, and I know you wanted to talk about trans issues, and we'll get into that, but I guess we can get into both topics at the same time. You know, we have this Tennessee shooter who happened to be trans. I don't think that's a part of the story. Going into a Christian school and killing innocent children. We had that bank shooting where an officer was shot in the head and 4 people died. Gun violence isn't getting any better, so I guess the first question, which is an important one to ask you, is if you become the next senator of the state of Nevada, what do you want to do to help change the course and lower gun violence?
Well, let's just say, I don't want to say gun violence. I want to say violence, period. Because there's a lot more going on than just gun violence. There's violence against women. There's rapes. There's murders. There's people that are being stabbed. So there's violence overall, and crime overall has risen. So, you know, when you talk about guns and violence, I mean, it should be broader than that. But in regards to people having guns that shouldn't have guns, you know, that we have laws and regulations in place already to keep guns out of hands from people who are mentally unstable and people who shouldn't own a firearm. Like let's talk about Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden illegally bought a gun. He shouldn't have had a gun. He illegally bought a gun, and he owned a gun. So I want to keep guns out of people's hands like Hunter Biden, who illegally should not own a firearm.
Okay, I don't know really where to go with that, because you're talking about Hunter Biden, who I don't think is a dangerous criminal. But I agree with you. If somebody illegally should not be purchasing guns, I agree.
Right.
But so if you're become the next state senator, your first thing that you're going to talk about is Hunter Biden. I'm confused.
No, people like Hunter Biden. People who are
He's not a violent criminal, though.
he was a convicted felon. Well, how do you know someone's a violent criminal until? That's why they have boxes to check.
He's never got into a school and shot up a bunch of kids.
And so someone who's gone to a school and shot up a bunch of kids, then they go out, get out of jail, and go buy a gun and do it again. You don't know that person is a violent criminal.
Wait, I'm confused. Can you name me one person that's gone into a school and shot up a bunch of kids that was able to get out of jail?
That's what I'm talking about. You said that Hunter Biden, people
Right.
like that, don't go to schools and shoot up people. You don't know that person is capable of doing that until it
All
happens.
right. Well, let's try to get away from Hunter Biden.
Well, no. Hunter Biden is a group. Is like it's just Hunter Biden is just famous, right? But Hunter Biden was a felon, and he was dishonorably discharged from the Navy. And people like that are forbidden and barred from purchasing a firearm. So people who are in that category,
What felon, by the way, did Hunter Biden commit? What was the felony?
the underlining felon,
Yeah.
he illegally purchased the gun as a dishonorable discharged vet, and he was dishonorably discharged for drugs.
Okay, so let's.
So if you're dishonorably, so if you check the box and you lie on an application to purchase a gun, just because you're the son of the president of the United States, you should fall in the same category with everyone else. So I'm saying people like Hunter Biden, people who are forbidden and barred from having firearms for having criminal convictions or from being dishonorably discharged from the military, and then they lie on an application. That's one group of people that should not
So
have
I think
firearms.
generally I would agree that if you're not allowed to purchase a gun, then I want to make sure those people are not allowed to get guns. So
Right.
in theory, I agree with you on that. But what would you say about assault weapons? What would you say about 18-year-olds walking into gun stores purchasing a bunch of guns when they're under psychiatric evaluation? What would you say about red flag laws? What would you say about all these other issues that I believe would lower gun violence in this country?
If you're under, if you are an 18-year-old and you're under a psychiatric evaluation, you're not supposed to be able to purchase a firearm. There's already laws in place for
Ron
that.
DeSantis and the governor Abbott of Texas have made it easier for people like that to get their hands on
And
guns.
how is that?
With the bills that have just
What's
been passed
the bill?
in the last couple months.
What's the language in the bill that makes it easier?
Well, I don't have the exact language right in front of me. I can tell you that Ron DeSantis just recently passed a bill which makes background checks weaker, particularly for people that
On
could
whose
be-
interpretation of that bill, though? You can't cite and say that a bill causes something without having specific language in that bill that makes it easier for people to purchase guns. That's a general statement. That's not based
So,
on
for
facts.
example, in the state of Florida, if you are under some sort of psychiatric evaluation, in some cases you are still legally allowed to purchase a gun. Same thing in Texas, and Governor Abbott is making it easier. The point I'm trying to make is we have some Republican governors in this country that don't want to make it more difficult with more stringent background checks. They want to actually make it easier and open carry laws and so on and so
Open
forth.
carry laws absolutely should be open carry laws.
In a bar? You okay with that?
Hold on, pause. It should be open carry laws, but you just stated earlier you want to crack down on violence in general. How do you believe that having an open carry law will crack down on violence?
So you're
and gun
saying,
violence?
so if you're equating violence to guns, I mean,
Well, open carry law allows people to get guns without any background checks, just being 18.
No, it doesn't.
over.
That's not what
Does it?
open carry is. No.
That's not what open
That's
carry is.
not what
no.
open carry is.
It's
Open
not?
carry
Okay.
is that if I had my 380 or my Glock on my hip right now
Right.
in public where you can see it, I can carry it openly
Right, so
in a
what-
state. That's an open
Right, so
carry.
what I'm saying
Not
is
purchasing it. I still went through the background check and
Okay.
everything else to purchase all my guns that I
Okay.
have.
So let me make myself very clear then. Excuse me for that. When you have open carry laws, it allows people to have their guns on them without any issue, correct? However, when people
What do you mean without any issue?
So like you said, you're allowed to have your gun on you without anybody saying, hey, you shouldn't have that on you. You could be in storage, you could be in public, correct?
Because we're in the United States of America,
Right,
and there's a thing
that's
called
fine.
the
That's
Second
fine.
Amendment.
However, when you have open carry laws, people aren't checking for you to see did you get your gun legally?
Oh my God.
Are they?
Okay,
Are
so
they?
I can have so
And that's what I was saying. It
all
makes
right.
it easier for people
so
to have
now
guns
if you
on them.
allow
That's
me
what I'm
to
saying.
if
Go
you
ahead.
allow me to answer the question, I'll
Go ahead.
answer the question because that is like makes absolutely no sense. So I legally own a gun and I legally have it open on my hip, and people don't know if I purchased my gun legally. However, I can have an illegal concealed weapon in my purse and nobody would ever know that I had a gun. So how is having an open carry laws in a state prevents gun violence or determine whether or not my gun is illegal?
How does it help?
It helps because when I lived here and I was followed home and a car got behind me, turned their lights off. Mm-hmm. We know what that means. Mm-hmm. And when they came alongside of me to pull whatever they were going to do, the only thing they saw was the shiny silver steel of my 357, and they took off. And then a week later, there was a home invasion.
While you were in your car, correct?
There was a home invasion in the house in the community behind me. The woman was followed home. They pushed in her house. They were armed, and there was a shootout between her husband, who was at home and armed. Thank God he was armed. Yeah. Otherwise, who knows what had happened to that couple? So yeah,
let me
I
respond
support
to that.
open carry.
So let me start off by saying I'm glad that a gun may have saved your life in that situation.
Many lives, not just
okay,
mine.
but I can give you many anecdotal evidence and points of being where guns have killed people. Example: the leading cause of death in children. What is it?
What the leading cause of death in children?
What is it?
According to whom?
According to the stats that are put out.
What
in
stats?
Deaths.
Does anybody have internet? Stats? Can we look it up right now?
Yeah, look it up right now.
Can we look it up right now?
You can look it up, but I know what the answer is.
And now when the
pediatrics.
And wait, pause real quick. Before I'm Googling this real quick, but I want to make this very, 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 very clear. Guys, I know what open carry is. I was trying to get to my point. Wait, hold on, pause, Brian. I need to make sure I fact check myself.
Okay.
I wanted to have a story that I was going to tell before you guys both interrupted me, because now everyone's going in on me on YouTube saying I don't know what it is. I was trying to make sure you guys knew what it is.
I mean, like, oh, so now you want to backtrack?
No, I'm not backtracking. I'm fact checking myself.
Yeah, you're fact
accountable.
You're fact checking yourself.
I'm not going to backtrack.
After you were schooled
but
by the Republicans.
leading cause of death in children, right?
Wait, first, what's the source? Wikipedia is not unreliable.
So I will make any money bet with you right now.
Let's make a bet.
And I am.
So CNN is the source.
Okay.
Oh, fuck. I mean, are you kidding me?
Rhonda.
No.
So hold on.
No,
I will
no,
make
no.
a wager with you right now. Anything you want. The leading cause of death in children is gun violence. You're running for senator in the state of Nevada.
No.
Guns.
Gun violence.
Guns.
Okay, so listen. When you talk about children, all right, we have to talk. Are you talking about children? Young children? Are you talking about the 16 and 17-year-olds who are killed and shot in Chicago and other urban cities across the country?
What does it matter where they're shot?
Just because it makes a difference because that's a loaded statement. When you say children, technically a 17-year-old who is living in a Democrat-run violent city that is shot in their neighborhood.
What does it matter whether Democrats or Republicans?
Technically, and we had this conversation about the Democrat-run cities before, but Democrat-run cities have the most strictest gun laws, but yet they have the most gun violence in the urban communities. Why? Because they probably just don't care.
So what are your answers then? I'm trying to understand.
My answer is
more guns.
More guns, more legal guns, yes.
So you think more guns will make us safer?
More legal guns.
Then why is it that in this country, per 100 people, we have 140 guns? You can check that stat too if you don't believe me.
Well, I probably have, a few.
Okay, so if the answer is more guns, and we have more guns than people in this country.
I said more legal guns.
Okay,
for
if the
protection.
answer is more legal guns, and like I said, per legal gun, per 100 people, we have 140 guns in this country. We have more guns than almost any other country in the world, yet more gun violence.
And we're the freest country in the world, too.
So if it makes us safer to have more guns, then why is it that we have more guns and yet we have so much gun violence?
Because those are illegal guns. People, you think about it.
What do you mean they're illegal guns? The gun that was used in the bank was legally purchased in the legal.
But I don't understand. That is exactly what liberals like to do.
I'm not a liberal.
You're not. You act like one. It could have fooled me.
What have I said?
Walk like one, talk like one, look like one. I guess it's a liberal.
What have I said that would lead you to believe I'm a liberal?
Listen.
I'm listening, but what would I said that would lead you to believe I'm a liberal? Because I don't want kids dead.
I don't want kids dead either.
Okay, so why would you say I'm a liberal?
Let me finish.
That's a weird statement you
no,
made,
it's
but
not.
go ahead.
Republican this, Republican that, Republican.
I haven't mentioned Republican. I've asked you what your solutions are. You haven't given me anything.
Now, if I can finish.
Okay.
You, Democrats and liberals, now, if you're not one, I'm just saying, Democrats and liberals always like to pick out the mass shootings that happen, but nobody wants to talk about the mass shootings that happens in the urban cities every single day. The number of people that die in the mass shootings is minuscule to the number of people that are killed in the inner cities, but nobody wants to talk about that. You always want to talk about the mass shootings.
Rhonda, I'm talking about gun violence. Period.
What do you define as gun violence? What do you define as gun violence?
Somebody who's killed at the hands of a gun. I don't care whether it's gang related or in a school.
Justified or non-justified?
Of course I'm talking about non-justified.
How am I supposed to know that? I'm asking specific questions. Maybe you guys should try it to have specific questions for specific answers.
I gave you a specific question. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to ask you again.
I know you don't.
Okay, I don't.
I know.
And this interview is not going to go well if you're going to be disrespectful. I'm being very respectful.
No, you're not.
I'm not a liberal.
You're yelling at me. He's yelling at me. You're yelling at me.
Let's start
He's
from the
yelling
beginning.
at me.
Let's start from the
You
beginning.
guys are talking very loud and raising your voice, and it feels like more like an attack than a conversation.
Okay. I'm asking you a question which you have not answered. What are your solutions to lowering the curb of all the gun violence? I'm not specifying it to a mass shooting or to a shooting gang-related in Chicago. You're running for senator of the state of Nevada. On day one, what are you going to do policy-wise to lower the curb of gun violence?
Well, first of all, day one, my priority is not going to be gun control. There's too many other issues going on in America that need to be addressed. Can I finish?
Okay,
there are too many other issues going on in America. I'm not going to address gun control as my first issue. Okay. If there was anything that I would do with guns, like I said, I would make sure that guns were kept out of the hands of people who could not legally own a gun, and have more enforcement on people who illegally own the guns.
How do you do that?
Well, how do I do that? Well, let's go to the beginning. State and local government. I'm running for a federal office. Mm-hmm. There's a thing called the 10th Amendment where I can't just step into the state and local government and tell them how to do their enforcement. I can support them by making sure they have funding for different programs, have more money for law enforcement to crack down on people who have illegal guns, and to create more opportunities in cities and neighborhoods where there is a high gun violence, so that they're not out in the street committing crimes. They're not out in the streets in gangs and having gun violence, because they have more opportunities. They have a better education. They have a better opportunities for job. They have an actual future. If we concentrate on things like that, that would bring gun violence down considerably, particularly in the cities where there is a high number of gun violence.
So, policy-wise, crack down on illegal guns by funding the government. Is that what I'm...
By helping and supporting the local governments who are in charge, they're the boots on the ground. And we need to support those boots on, like not defunding the police, but actually funding and helping our police departments so that they can enforce the already existing laws. We don't need to create new legislation. We need to enforce the legislation that's already in place to lower gun violence.
So right now you're okay with like an 18-year-old walking into a gun store, buying as much ammunition and a bunch of AR-15s without any sort of training? Are you okay with that?
What do you mean without any sort of training?
You don't, in this country, you don't have to buy, you can buy a gun and you don't have to be trained on how to use it. I just want to know if you're okay with that. That's all, because there are a lot of Americans that are not, Republican and Democrat. So I want to get your thoughts on that. Are you okay with an 18-year-old walking into a gun store with zero training on how to use that weapon to purchase a couple of assault weapons and thousands of rounds of ammunition?
When you say assault weapons, what are you talking about? Can you name a particular gun? Assault weapons, everyone likes to use assault weapons.
Okay, well, I'll be specific.
Assault weapon?
Without even using the term assault weapon, guns that were used in Las Vegas, the guns that were used in the bank shooting, 2 guns that were used in the Tennessee shooting, Uvalde, Sandy Hook, Columbine. The guns that seem to be used where there are a lot of people that have died, I'm talking about more than 4 people, 10 people, 20 people, 30 people. It appears as though the gun of choice in many, and in Buffalo, not all the shootings, but in many of the shootings where there are more than 10 people that have lost life, sadly, are usually AR-15 style weapons. So I'm asking you, well, I don't know why you're laughing.
Because we had this conversation. AR-15 is not an assault. It's not.
I don't want to get into
weapon.
the weeds with you on what is or what isn't.
But that's why when you keep saying assault weapons, and I'm like, well, what are you talking about?
Okay, so the weapons that are used in these big mass shootings that I just mentioned, I'll be more specific. Are you okay with an 18-year-old buying those kinds of weapons without any training at all at the age of 18? Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with an 18-year-old buying a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It's constitutionally correct. It's their constitutional right to buy a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that I'm going to restrict someone's constitutional rights based on my own feelings or my own fears. Now, in regards to training, I mean, it's responsible adult that would train themselves and familiarize themselves, go to the gun range with any weapons that they buy. That's what I do.
So why not have a choice when it comes to driving a vehicle? Why is it that when somebody gets a driver's license, they have to be trained how to drive the car? Their health is checked. You have to register the car. Why not do something similar to that when it comes to guns?
Okay, so this is the difference. Driving is a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
The Second Amendment is a constitutional enumerated right in the Constitution. A right versus a privilege are two different things. So requiring someone to have training to have the privilege to drive is one thing. Requiring someone to have training to restrict a constitutional right is another thing.
So you think training is restricting a right?
If it's required,
Mm-hmm.
I think, yes. It's you asked me for, you use it as an example. Driving versus owning, and I'm telling you the difference between the two.
Do you believe voting is a privilege or a right?
Voting is a right.
It is a right. Then why do you have to register and not register to purchase a gun?
Well, you do have to register to purchase a gun.
Not in all cases.
You go through a background check. You have to be, so you register to vote to make sure that you are legally eligible to vote. You purchase a firearm, you put in your application to make sure that you're legally able to own a gun. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you can't buy a gun here. So if you're not a U.S. citizen, you can't vote here. And if you're a convicted felon, you can't buy a gun here. In some states, if you're a convicted felon or if you're still on probation or parole, you can't vote. So they're similar, and there are similar checks and balances in both cases.
So gun laws do vary state by state, and in some certain situations, like in Florida, some laws have passed, and in certain situations, you don't have to register to purchase a gun. And as I said, it's state by state.
But that's federal. You have to. There is a federal background check and an FFL requirement. That's federal. You have to.
I want to take a step back because I still didn't get to finish my statement. And you made a statement earlier about how there's more crimes in urban cities as it pertains to guns, correct? I want to make sure that you did say that, right? Right, Rhonda?
That
there are more gun crimes in urban cities that we need to worry about. Did you not say that earlier?
I did. I said, and I used specific cities like Chicago.
Which is where I'm from, which is totally fine. And
Milwaukee, where I'm from.
Which is totally fine. We love to hear from both from the Midwest. However, I want to go back to my point that I made earlier before I was cut off. Again, when you have cities that are open carry cities, right? You don't have people who are checked to make sure that you went through the background check to get that gun, or that you that you legally have that gun, correct?
Pause. Hold on,
Rhonda, because I want to make sure.
You said correct, and I'm like, no, it's not correct. What you just said is incorrect.
Who's checking to make sure the gun that you have on your hip is legal? Who's checking you?
Who's checking to make sure that what is this? Where are we in a police?
No,
the police state we're in Nazi Germany. What are you talking about?
What I'm trying
Nobody
to
has the right to check to see. Are you gonna search my purse to see if I have a gun in my purse? If that's legal?
And that's, I'll totally get that. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is when you have cities that have open carry laws, correct? You have people who are like, oh, okay, I can carry my gun. They're not checking what that means. They're not checking.
First of all, who's they?
A lot of urban people.
Let's qualify that statement. Who's they?
Let's talk about the people who are in these urban cities cities that you're talking about, that you're saying that they're the ones who are committing most of the gun crimes. They're the ones who are not checking the laws. They're the ones who are not making sure that what open carry means.
You can't
again,
use
people who are in
they.
urban cities. I'm being very clear,
When
Rhonda.
you said people, what people?
I'm talking
the officials, the residents, the police.
The residents, the people who are in these cities that you brought up, these urban cities. Where are you from an urban city? Because I am.
Yes, I
okay,
am
so
from
we're
an
both
urban
from.
city.
So I'm sure that you can be realistic and you can understand that a lot of people in these urban cities are not legally getting guns. And when they're in cities where there's open carry laws, they're still holding their illegal gun on them out for everyone to see. And you're saying this is where majority of the gun crimes happen. I want to know, how do you personally believe that you can solve an issue in cities where there's open carry laws where we can restrict violence in urban cities?
All right. So let's unpack that.
And that's what I was trying to get at the first time before I was interrupted.
So let's unpack that. And let's just say that in the urban cities where all this crime is happening, like Chicago, it's Democrat run, and there would never be an open carry, and it's not an open carry.
Exactly.
And actually, in cities where there is open carry and the citizens, the law-abiding citizens are armed, crime is actually lower because that criminal.
Fact?
Yes, I do, and I can pull the stats. I will actually. I'm if anyone on my team is listening right now, will you please text me the stats on that, because
I can Google it as well.
Lower. I like to fact check myself.
Listen, let's do it.
So people open carry cities have lower crime because criminals like easy targets. That's why in California crime is running rampant. Home invasions are up because 9 out of 10 times they're coming into a house, that person's not armed. However, in cities and states where they do have open carry and most of the citizens are armed, criminals think twice before they victimize people.
It says, I want to hear your thoughts. I'm going to read this out loud, and I want to hear your thoughts. It says from the AmericanProgress.org, Center for American Progress, scientific research consistently shows that the removal of concealed carry permitting systems is associated with higher rates of gun homicides and violent crime. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, I was reading the comments because
no worries. They're going in.
You won't read the comments because they're hilarious.
I'm going
they're
in.
Hilarious.
Listen, I'm going in. Some people are even going in on me. That's why
I know most of them are. That's why I'm laughing.
That's totally fine.
That's
why I said I wasn't going.
So can I jump in here?
No, hold on, Brian. You had a long time. I never got to talk at all.
Go ahead, because we got to.
So it says again, scientific research consistently shows that the removal of concealed carry permitting systems is associated with higher rates of gun homicides and violent crime. This is from the Center for American Progress. What's your thoughts on that?
The Center for American Progress.
What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is that is a Democrat liberal organization.
Okay.
What you need to do is you need to go to the stats on the cities. The police stats, the crime stats, the real stats. Those can't be skewed.
Okay.
So every city.
You don't think they can be skewed at all?
Okay. Every city, no, because it's all public record. Every city that has a crime that's reported. If there's a shooting, right here in Las Vegas, just was it last night where the guy was kicked in the door in a home, and then luckily with a baseball bat, the homeowner was armed and was able to stop him. I mean, unfortunately, the guy was killed, but still.
I don't want to get in the weeds here, so just in a very simplistic approach, gun violence in this country is out of control. There are mentally ill people all over the world. We have them here and they're everywhere, but it seems like we have this problem more than most of the world. We have more guns than people in this country. Legal guns, by the way. Illegal guns are an issue too. But we have more legal guns in this country than any other country in the world. And I know you want to blame Democrats and liberals and Democrat and liberal cities, but all I've heard from you in 30 minutes as far as a solution goes is let's get the illegal guns and let's give officers more money. That sounds great in theory, but that is your only statement that you're going to make as far as doing something to lower the curve? That's it?
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. And I'm tired of the typical politician who wants to be a talking head, who wants to just tell people what they want to hear. This is what I'm saying. I'm not in office. And I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. I can say...
You're running for office.
Can I finish? I can say, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen. Until I have all of the information and all the facts, there are things that members of Congress and the Senate are privy to that I am not as a general person, that I can do my homework and my research once I get to office to figure out what can we do, what's the problem, what can be done. But you want me to come up like a genie in a bottle and give you some magical answer.
I can give you 10 things that I would do.
And I told you what I thought. Yeah, that's your opinion. But who knows? You could get elected, get to Senate, and you find out, guess what? You can't do those things because they're unconstitutional.
No, because Republicans like you block them every day.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
That is not true. There are things that that's why we have committees, right? You want to pass a bill, it goes through a committee to check to see, can you do
Correct.
this? Is it legal? You cross-check it against other laws to see if it's going to conflict with that. So it's magical when politicians say, this is what I'm going to do, but actually in reality, they don't know if they're legally able to do the things that they can do.
Are you familiar with the assault weapons ban that was fizzled out? Do you know why it was fizzled out?
Why was it? Is this going to be the Second Amendment show? I mean, I thought we were going to be talking about other topics.
Well, I understand if you don't want to talk about topics that you're not educated on, but I would like to continue the conversation with you. Are you aware of the assault weapons ban that was fizzled out in the early 90s? You're somebody running for senator.
Yes.
We're talking about gun control. You don't think gun control is a broad issue?
I'm not talking about gun control. You're talking about gun control.
Well, yeah, because it's a broad issue.
I'm talking about violence against women. I'm talking about the fentanyl and drug problem in America.
And you don't think there's gun violence against women?
That's what I'm talking about. But for some reason, this panel seems to be obsessed with guns.
So first of all, this isn't a panel. It's a radio show.
Well, you
Second
two
of
seem
all,
like a panel.
my sister just died of a fentanyl overdose. So please don't lecture me on fentanyl. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. I just lost my 37-year-old sister.
I know.
Trust me, I know a little bit more about that issue than you do. That's number two.
Well, first of all,
number
you're judging.
Three,
you don't know my personal issue with fentanyl.
You just said you want to talk about broad issues. Gun violence in this country is out of control, and I think it's a very important issue to talk about. I'm happy to move on. But
you want to keep talking about it. Go ahead. We can spend the whole hour talking about guns.
We're not going to spend the whole hour.
That's
but
fine.
in the early 90s, you see, we had something called an assault weapons ban.
In the 90s.
And the reason why it fizzled out is because Republicans decided to let that happen. Gun violence was much lower, and then it rose because the assault weapons ban was let through because of Republicans. So I know that's not something you want to talk about.
I'm not talking to you as a Republican. I'm talking to you as a woman. I'm talking to you as a mother. I'm talking to you as an American.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to restrict someone's constitutional right because people are afraid of guns, period. Stop labeling me as a Republican. I'm an American first, I'm a woman first, and I'm a black woman first.
Okay, I think it's interesting that you don't want to be labeled as a Republican.
I don't want to be labeled.
No, okay,
you identify me
okay.
as just a Republican.
Fair enough. I think it's interesting, though, that 5 minutes into this interview, you were totally okay with labeling me as a liberal, but now all of a sudden, by the way, calling somebody a Republican is not derogatory. Using you're a liberal, that is derogatory, but that's okay.
How is that derogatory?
You're running as a Republican.
You're running as a Republican. Okay, I'm running as a woman. A black woman Republican.
Okay, you're a Republican. So what's wrong with that?
I am
Why are you offended by that?
I'm offended because you're you know why? Because there are prejudice in the world, and as a black woman, I've experienced plenty of prejudice.
So you know what prejudice?
Prejudice is prejudging, and you are prejudging me based on my political party. You're prejudging a whole and condemning a whole party.
I have asked
just
you
because they are Republican.
I have asked you specific policy questions.
And I've answered it.
Okay, so you're saying I'm prejudging you. I don't know what you're talking about, but anyway, we can move
I know
on.
You wouldn't
That's
know
fine.
What I'm talking about.
No, I don't, because I don't
know
prejudge people. I'm asking you specific questions
you
as a
prejudge me.
Republican running for office. I don't know why that's.
You prejudge me as you said, and Republicans.
Yeah.
You didn't say and Congress or Senate. You said Republicans.
What does it matter whether you're Congress
It's like
or
labeled.
Senate?
We label everything in America,
Okay.
and that is the problem.
Okay, fair enough. You wanted to talk about transgender issues, which I'm happy to have a conversation with you about. In Tennessee, a lot of Republicans, and I'm going to use that word because Democrats are not doing this, calling this person a trans shooter. Which I find to be ridiculous because there's nothing in the evidence that suggests that this shooting was carried out because that person was trans, and 0.03% of mass shooters are trans. So explain to me your thoughts on the transgender issues in this country and what your opinions are on it.
So first of all, I'm going to briefly talk about the shooting because that's not what the transgender problem is in America.
Okay.
And the war on women is the problem. The transgender shooter, it's amazing that when there is a shooter, in other states or something happens, they identify the shooter as a white male, and I don't think that labeling that is an issue. Like, it's okay when you label somebody and they say the white male or the Trump supporter or the registered Republican. They always want to identify other shooters. Not that they went in, that they're a sick individual, that they're monsters. They want to identify them by their color. They want to identify them by their party affiliation. But now, when a transgender goes in and does a mass shooting, it's terrible that that we're calling him a transgender. We're identifying them by their sex or what they identify with. It's a double standard. It's always a double standard in America, and I can recognize it. And Jamie, you should recognize it if you grew up in an urban city. That there's always a double standard. We experience that double standard as a Black woman here in America. I've experienced that double standard, and right here I see it just plain as day. It's a double standard between the right and the left. Instead of everyone coming together, they always want to identify that person. But now that it's a transgender, nobody wants to talk about it. Oh, we can't identify the person.
So when you talk about a Trump supporter shooter, like you mentioned, politics, in my opinion, should be involved when that was a motive for a shooting. For example, the Texas El Paso shooter in a manifesto talked about Donald Trump, talked about his hatred towards illegal immigrants, and killed a bunch of brown people. Very appropriate. Bernie Sanders, the Bernie Sanders supporter who shot Scalise, very appropriate, was a Democrat, hated Republicans. That was, a shooting against Republicans. Very fair. The reason why I have a problem with somebody talking about this person being trans is because there are attacks on social media and even some politicians that are attacking the trans community because this person happened to be trans, which has nothing.
I'm just saying.
What do you mean?
That person, boo hoo hoo. Be a woman. We're attacked every single day, and you're marginalizing the issues of women and minorities in this country by saying this person is identified as being trans. Yes, you know why? Because let's talk about the school that the transgender person went in and shot up. That school was targeted because it was a Christian school.
That's not true.
Okay.
Hold on.
That's
Can
not true.
All right. Can I say this, Rhonda? And let me know if you agree or not. I have no problem with them identifying who the shooter was. Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Okay. However, my issue is when you identify the person and then try to make that community's issue. This isn't a transgender woman or man's issue or a transgender community's issue. Would you agree or no? Do you think this is a transgender's issue, gun violence and mass shootings?
As a transgender, like it's
so what they were trying to say was that.
Well, who's they? I mean, I haven't heard anybody say that this person did it because they're trans. I heard reports reporting that this person was transgender, not that the motive was behind them because they're a transgender and we have to run and hide because every transgender person is going to turn into a mass shooter.
So
that's not what I heard.
There has been rhetoric put forth on social media by people on the right that have attacked the trans community, saying that they are a threat to this country, violence, so on and so forth. There has been that sort of rhetoric that has been thrown out there.
The thing is that I don't agree that because they identify as a different sex that they're violent. I do, however, think that there is some type of violent movement going on where behind the scenes where some of the transgender community is being told to do acts of violence.
Wait, say that part again? You think what?
I think that there is a movement where there are certain people in the transgender community who is promoting violence.
Where is that happening?
And yes, on TikTok, there is actually, I can send you guys the video.
Okay.
There is a TikTok video of a transgender person telling everybody, transgender people everywhere, needs to stop. If somebody does something, you need to punch them in the face. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I'll pull up the TikTok video and check. But there is a movement. I'm not saying that everybody follows it. Just like there's a movement in every single other demographic that there will be bad actors that say that we like the 2020 riots. Those were bad actors. It was telling everybody to get out and riot, to fight, defund the police, fight against the police. There's police violence. That was a movement, and that wasn't, yes, but it wasn't all of us. So That
Are you
is.
saying it's all transgenders though? Because it's not all transgenders.
I'm
either.
sorry. What?
Are you saying it's all transgenders who
I
are
didn't
saying
say
that?
it was all transgender.
Well-
I said it was a select number of the transgender community who are promoting violence.
Okay, and so the reason I asked that because I want to make sure that we're again being very clear. You started off saying there's a select number, then you talked about other different demographics. But you
Right.
said,
I said, for example, like other
totally fine,
demographics
totally
do
fine,
the same thing.
Totally fine. And then you did say after that, there's just a select number of us, which made it to believe that you were saying that transgenders as a whole was trying to make this happen. Now, my issue with this though is, because I don't want to go off topic, but what do you believe about this rhetoric that is being spewed about these different demographics, such as transgender people, saying that they're a violent community, when, again, this isn't a transgender issue, this is just a transgender individual who was a part of the situation?
Like I said, there's a whole move. There's more. And
What's
let's
your
talk
thoughts
about
about
what
it?
happened at Stanford. I mean,
What's your thoughts behind it, though? I don't want to hear
I
about
don't. No,
examples.
I'm talking about. I just gave you my thoughts on it.
Your thoughts
And
are?
my thoughts are. It's not. I'm not prejudiced. I don't prejudge people because they're transgender and you're predisposed to be violent.
That wasn't my question, though.
That's ignorant.
That was my question. My question was, again, what's your thoughts on these people that are on the right who are spewing this rhetoric saying that this is a transgender issue? What's your thoughts on it? Regardless of your
I
prejudice or
don't
not,
know who's saying it. I haven't heard any comments.
what's your thoughts on it?
How do I have thoughts on something when I haven't
I'm
heard
telling you about
who's-
it now. It's
But
been a
I
lot of
haven't.
people who've done it.
Okay, you're telling me that.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't read anything.
Okay.
I think that anyone who
hold on.
prejudges people should not prejudge people. It's
Okay.
prejudice.
Okay.
So I don't agree with prejudging somebody based on what they choose to identify with. What I do, but my issue is, which is the main reason why I came on this show to talk about,
Yeah.
which is the fact that there is a full-on war on women,
Let's
and
talk about
nobody's
that.
paying attention to it.
Let's talk about that.
And that is the transgender community. I have no problem with trans women.
Okay.
If you want to identify as a woman, that's perfectly
So
fine.
how are women being attacked?
But when women are being attacked for saying that they're proud to be women, you think Adele wasn't attacked for saying that she was proud to be a woman?
I don't see anything
She
wrong with a
was.
woman
Wait,
saying
who's
she's proud to be a
attacking the
woman.
women?
I know. I don't see anything wrong with it either.
Who's saying that?
When
Who's like, who has a problem with that?
the transgender community had a problem with that last year, and everyone out there that's listening can fact check it.
Okay, Brian, that was a thing, so I'm not even going to say that you're wrong.
No,
That
I'm
was
not
a thing.
saying it wasn't a thing,
wasn't a
but
thing, right.
I'm sure there were probably a few idiots out there that had a problem with Adele saying that she's proud to be a woman. But I wouldn't say that's an attack on women because there's some idiots out there that might have said something
Well,
like
then
that.
but you're contradicting yourself. That's
How?
not because you're saying that they're same thing about the transgender community. Maybe there's a few idiots out there that's saying that all the transgender community is
Elected
violent.
officials.
Is violent. I don't care. There's still a small number of people, right?
Lawmakers.
So why
They're
are
the
you?
ones who hold
But
power, though.
why are we marginalizing this? You say you're proud to be a woman, and then somebody who wants to be a woman
Okay, so
attacks
here's the difference.
women. We have a spokesperson for Tampax. I mean, and other women products. That's a slap in our face. And then when we say that we're upset about it, then we're transphobic. No, we're women. I mean, you don't have a trans man that's out there spokesperson
So there
for
are going to be.
Viagra.
So here's my point. There's going to be crazy people out there that are going to say ignorant things and stupid things that I think most Americans will not agree with. The reason why I brought up transphobia, there are elected officials in office that continually attack the trans community literally on a daily basis. Ted Cruz being one of them, Marco Rubio being one of them, and focusing on trans people and drag queens reading books to our kids in libraries. And they would rather, and these are lawmakers, not water cooler people or people on social media that we've never heard of before. They would rather talk about drag queens and the threat and the indoctrination to our kids with that than issues that we've talked about on this show, like gun control. That's where my problem is. I don't think
my problem is I'm still waiting for my equal pay. All right, women are still waiting in line for what's due to us, the suffering that we've done. That's why there's a women's suffrage, but.
Okay, let's talk about that.
We're being left behind by men who want to be women.
Sure. Which party is the one that's trying to raise minimum wage and is for maternity leave?
I'm not talking about politics. Look, I'm not talking about a party. I'm not talking about Republicans. I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about what's going on with women.
And I'm trying to explain to you the policies that are trying to be put forth by the left to help women get equal pay. And your party, you are a Republican.
I'm an individual. Will you stop identifying me? I am an individual. You're making like I'm the Borg and I have collective thoughts and I'm a robot and whatever the Republican elected officials tell me to do, I'm going to just follow along and do it just fine. That's not the case.
Because you go after the left, and you've talked about how Democrats and liberals and the violence and it's their fault. But then when I talk about accountability on the right, you don't want me to bring up the fact that you're a Republican.
You're talking about, when you talk about guns.
Because you're talking about women and equal pay. I'm telling you that Republicans are against maternity leave. Republicans are against raising minimum wage. Republicans are against
what does minimum
policies
wage have to do with women?
Raising pay, first of all, number one, and number two.
Equal pay, I said.
Sure, I agree with you.
Pay.
I agree with you 150%. If you're a woman and you're doing a job, same job that a man could do, and you're capable of doing that, which I believe most women in this country are, then I agree with you 150%. So I want women to get equal pay. I am on your side.
Yeah. So a trans woman can take their dress off, take their wig off, take the makeup off, go to work, and make more money than the woman sitting next to them because they're a man. But yet and still, women are being attacked by transgender women because we're actual women. So trans women who are men can benefit from being a man.
So you think it's a problem in our society where you think there's a bunch of people that are born men transition into women that go to work every day and take their clothes off and dress up as a man, and you're saying that's a big problem in this country, and that's how
I said that's one of the problems.
Okay.
And what about trans women, who are actual men wanting to get into the women's prison and are being transferred to women's prison, and then women are being sexually assaulted in prison by those trans women. Women are ended up pregnant by those trans women. I mean, our society has gone absolutely crazy with bending over backwards for the trans community. I'm saying give them equal rights, but not treat them better than what they do women.
You think trans people are treated better in most cases than women?
I absolutely do. We're here talking about violence on trans women. I'm like, do you know how many women with domestic violence are killed every day, are beaten every day? I'm a survivor of domestic violence
talking
as
about
a woman.
violence.
But we should be talking about that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about men who want to be women. That's what I'm saying. Women issues are real.
But you said you wanted to talk about this issue.
No, I'm saying that's what I'm saying, to bring to the forefront of women's real issues.
May I ask you this? Because people are asking a lot on social media, and they've been asking, I haven't had the chance to interrupt and ask you this question, and I want to give you the chance to do this. Can you please state clearly what is your issue with this topic, and what's your solution behind it if you were to be the U.S. Senate for Nevada?
Well, Moana, this is more probably a private issue with private companies like corporations like Procter & Gamble and Budweiser and Ulta Beauty. And those are the people that have to change it. We, as the government, you can't go in and dictate private businesses. So what we have to do as women, as Americans who are behind this, and as for elected officials who support women, that we need to start not buying these companies' product until they start treating women equally. For example, it is an absolute slap in the face, and I'm sure you guys have never experienced a menstrual period before, but to have that and then have a trans woman being the spokesperson for Tampax, it's like, can you tell me how does it work?
I mean, let me ask you that. First of all, and I'm going to bring up the word Republican again. I know you don't like that. But most Republican men don't know what it's like to be pregnant, and they don't know what it's like to get an abortion. You're telling me you're right, and you're right. I don't know what it's like to go through a menstrual cycle, but many of the policymakers on the right want to abolish abortion and make it illegal, but I don't hear you crying, hey, they don't know what it's like to be pregnant. They don't know what it's like to have an abortion. Don't you think that's a little bit hypocritical?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No,
So the
I
men
don't.
who don't know what it's like to be pregnant or have an abortion, you're okay with them taking health care away from women. Who do you think has been...
Well, there's women who doesn't know what it's like to be to know what it's like to be pregnant.
True, I agree
yes,
with
there are
you.
a lot of women who have never given birth. I myself have given birth to 7 children. I lost one to SIDS, but I gave birth to 7 children. The last 3 are
Right.
are
And I'd rather
triplets.
have you make
And they-
policy than men that don't know what it's like to be pregnant. Let me ask you a question. Who do you think's been more discriminated against as a society? Transgender women or people who were born women? Who do you think's been more of a victim of discrimination, or at least now?
women.
So you don't think trans women have been more the victim of discrimination?
No.
You think women, people that are born women, are okay? Well, okay,
Yes,
interesting.
I do.
We'll agree to
Can
disagree
I
on
say
that
this,
one.
though? I understand where you're coming from, where you say that you believe that trans women are getting better benefits and they're being taken care of and protected more. I think what we're misconstruing is that they're being put in a spotlight more often in women's places. I don't see that as being benefiting more off of society or being protected more. They're just being put in places that you don't agree with. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I have to say the spokesperson for Tampax took a job from a woman.
But which I understand, but Tampax is not American society. Tampax is not out on the street protecting trans women. Tampax is not on the street beating up African American women. So why do you believe that just because trans women are being put in spotlights that women, you say, should be in, is benefiting more of the trans community and protecting them more? Why do you believe that?
Because this country, for some reason, has bent over backwards for the trans community. Even the fact of having trans people in participating in women's sports, and women, we're like, well, wait a minute. We were in line first. You just skipped the line. Is how we're as myself and a lot of other women feel. Is like you feel like you just skipped a line. I don't care what you do in your private life. I'm not transphobia. I'm not any of that. But I just was attacked by a trans woman on social media who told me I should lose weight, and I'm like,
That's rude.
I'm like, really?
Right.
Have you seen me? This body gave birth to 7 children. I have hips. I have a body because I gave birth to 7 children.
And that's an ignorant statement,
It
and
is
I wouldn't,
very
and I
ignorant.
also wouldn't say that because that person is trans. That I mean, there's idiots that'll say
There's
stupid
idiots in every
things.
community.
But I think that it's more of an issue, for example, of taking away a woman's right to choose in this country, rather than what I care about, some sort of Tampax commercial that now you've brought up 5 times. I don't think that's a big issue. I don't care who's doing a Tampax commercial. I do care about taking away a woman's right to choose for her own body.
Who took the rights away? Who took the rights away from a woman to choose?
There are states in this country where abortion is basically illegal, that you have to drive to another state to get an abortion.
Okay, and that was
Republicans,
and that
to
was,
answer your
no,
question.
that was based on, well, I think it was the Supreme Court, and that was based on the Constitution, correct?
Roe
So
versus
just-
Wade has been in law for decades and decades, and those that are on the
Doesn't
Supreme
mean
Court
that it was right?
and those that are on the Supreme Court lied.
Okay, so
lied. They lied. Several of them lied and said that was the law and they were going to abide by it. That was overturned by the Supreme
So
Court.
there was a lot of things overturned by the Supreme Court. Thank God that it was. Just like before there was equal rights.
So
right?
a Tampax
Wait, can I-
commercial
can
is
I
more.
finish? I don't get to
Tampax
finish.
commercial is more.
Go ahead, Rhonda, go ahead.
I just want
I
to.
mean-
My question was, a Tampax commercial and who's doing that commercial is more important to you than a woman's right to choose.
No, and I asked, and the question that we were on and what we were discussing and what comment you made was that Republicans were taking away women's right to choose. And I just said that it was the Supreme Court. And you said the Supreme Court, that Roe v. Wade was the law for decades and decades
And
and
Republicans
decades.
overturned it.
And no, the
They sent
Supreme
it to the
Court,
Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court overturned it.
And why
But
was it sent to the
can
Supreme
I
Court?
finish? Do I ever get to finish a point on this show?
You do.
I'll let you.
I'm trying to.
I let you.
You asked a question,
calm it down like
and
you
if
asked.
I can give a legitimate answer, when you said that the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, let's talk about all the other things that the Supreme Court has overturned. Like the Supreme Court's previous ruling was that separate was equal. That segregation, as long as they have the same benefits, segregation is equal. The Supreme Court overturned itself. The Supreme Court has overturned itself time and time again on laws that were oppressive to women and to people of color.
So you think,
so when you say the Supreme Court overturned itself, don't make it like it's a bad thing.
So you think giving a woman a right to choose is oppressive to
What
women?
based on giving a woman a right to choose, it wasn't about a woman's right to choose. It was about a state's rights. Abortions are not illegal. Nobody took a woman's right away
some
to have
states
an
they
abortion in a state. Just like if that's the case, I can't go. Guns I can buy in Nevada, I can't go buy them in California. So
Correct.
they're not. I'm not. So California is not taking my right away
Well,
to
you're
buy
comparing-
that gun.
you're
No, it's
comparing-
the same. You're
you're
one is
comparing-
enumerated in the Constitution. The other one is implied in the Constitution.
You're comparing the type of gun you can buy legally in certain states to
I'm talking
allowing
about,
a woman
I'm talking
health
about
care and
state
what to do with
rights.
her own body.
I'm talking
Okay.
about state rights in the
Fair
Constitution.
enough. Here's what I'm
going
gonna
to
do.
Yeah, a woman, as you see, there's a woman sitting here right now.
Understood. I agree with you. And that
Yeah.
was my whole point from the beginning, is that you talked about men have never had a menstrual cycle before. And my point was many middle-aged, crusty white men are the ones that are putting or want to put laws into place to ban women from getting abortions. So if you're going to have it one way, you have to have it the other way.
No, see, but the thing is that I don't base my stuff on feelings and my personal feelings. I base it on the Constitution. That is the law of the land. And
Are you okay with
there's
abortions then? I want to know. Are you okay with abortions? Do you support abortions? A lot of people are asking, and they want to hear that as a clear statement. People are saying, if you're a woman, do you support abortions? If you're for women,
if I personally, my personal choice, I do not. I wouldn't have an abortion. I was actually asked to abort 2 of my triplets.
Sorry to hear that.
Because I could have died. I did not. I have 3 healthy.
And I would never take that
And
right
to-
away from you.
But do you
today.
support other people's rights to abortions?
When you say rights, if it's legal, and then they can legally do it, I support the law.
Okay, so that's fine. I'll let you have that. Now, I want to take a step back really quick. You were
'cause we
talking,
got-
I know,
okay,
we
gotta take a
just want to
break.
make sure this, because again, this is very important. A lot of people are talking about it. You're stating how, you want women to be in women's places where they should be seen and represented, such as Tampax commercials and so on and so forth. What's your thought on, actually, no, take a step back. Are you realizing that they may be skipping the line in a Tampax commercial, but we're in a place where everyone is trying to represent a specific community.
That's just small.
It is small, right? It is small, but let me finish real quick.
Go ahead.
It is small. However, I'm in a minority just like you. I'm not a black woman, but I'm a black man. And I understand that we still are fighting for representation in media and in a lot of different places, right? However, do you believe, yes or no, that the trans community gets the same amount of representation as other communities? Maybe that may be women or black women. Do you believe they get the same amount of?
What do you mean?
Do you believe they get the same amount of positive representation in the media as their counterparts who are women or black women? Because you're saying that you don't like the fact that trans women are getting taking spots from women. They're more in the media more. They're benefiting more.
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're in the media more. They're benefiting more. I'm saying that it's demeaning.
Okay.
There are a lot of trans women and that movement that demean women, actual physically born women, born with a vagina. They are demeaning and downplaying and basically just outright abusive on social media and other places for us just existing.
So what's the difference between a trans woman who can't give birth or who doesn't experience periods versus an actual biological woman who can't do the same things either, whether it's give birth or have periods?
Chromosomes. You can't change your.
So
you may
what's the
change your. You may change. You tried to change your sex. You may try and change your hormones, but you can't change your chromosomes.
What's the difference between either one of them being spokesperson? Either one of them have the same.
Be a spokesperson for the trans community.
Okay.
Stay out my lane. That's all I'm saying.
So we got to take a break, and I want to take some phone calls. But again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I think this is where we fundamentally disagree, which is I don't believe that women who are born women have been more of a victim of discrimination than people who are actually transgender. We'll just agree to disagree on that one. And if your issue, as you just mentioned, is you don't like abuse on social media, then maybe you shouldn't have voted for Donald Trump twice, because he was the forefather of abusing people on social media. And by the way, he continues to do so. So don't vote for someone who's abusive and abuses women and treats women the way Donald Trump has. If you're for women's rights, Donald Trump has been accused of rape or sexual assault 25 times. He's got an open case of rape right now. That's the man that you voted for.
I said a fake. Well, let's not talk. Well, I don't know who you voted for, but if you voted for Joe Biden, let's not even talk about him. But
I'm happy
I don't
to
know
talk
why,
about him.
I don't know why we always pivot to the real issues. We pivot to something that has absolutely nothing to do with what I just said.
Absolutely
It
does.
does not. You talking about Donald Trump attacking women or attacking people
Yes.
on social. I'm talking about trans
You just brought that up.
women.
You
I
just-
said trans women attacking women for being women.
You
That's
used
what
the
I
term
said.
abusive on social media.
Abusive of women. I said trans women abusing.
What about a former president that's abusive on social media? Do you have a problem with that too? Or is it just the trans people that are abusive on social media?
I'm talking about trans people attacking women.
And I'm talking
I'm
about
not
people
talking about
attacking
Donald
women, not
Trump.
just trans people.
I'm not talking about Donald Trump.
Understood. Okay.
Donald Trump's not running for U.S. Senate.
He's running for president, actually,
Trump,
yes.
Donald Trump. That's president. He's
Yep.
not running. Donald Trump.
So as long as you're not running for
Senate,
Senate, if you're running for president, it's okay to abuse people on social media. But if you're
That's what you
transgender,
said.
that's where
Here,
you have a problem.
How about this? How about I'll just wait for a question
Sure.
and then I'll let you commentate.
That was a question.
That wasn't a question.
Here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a break, and I want others to ask you questions. Okay.
That's fine. Other people ask me
So I'm
questions.
going to open up the phone lines, and we're going to take a break, which was long overdue. 702-221-7283. Here's the number again. If you want to ask Rhonda a question, the phone lines are open, and you could ask her anything you like, so long as you are respectful. 702-221-7283. That number one more time. 702-221-7283. And if you're just joining us, you've missed a lot. She is running for Nevada Senator. Her name is Ronda Kennedy. We do appreciate her being here. And we are going to take some phone calls on the other side. We're going to take a quick break, take our breath, and come back right after this. 702-221-7283. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Then join one of the fastest growing talk shows, Pushing the Limits. We have a wide range of sales packages that can fit your budget. Anything from on-site live remotes to in-studio interviews. Email Jamie at jamiedee@kshp.com. That's JAIMEDEE@kshp.com.
Steiner's, the Nevada style pub invites you to play the best tavern, keno, and video poker in Vegas. Promos are how we roll to make the most of your gaming dollars here with us. Come play our proud partner gaming promotion, Fly Aviators Fly, and receive daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win awesome brand of prizes and big money for all the jackpots each week. It's not only great gaming that Steiner's Pub has, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers and Vegas' best appetizers to match. So join us in supporting your Las Vegas Aviators, Golden Knights, Lights, Aces, and the Raiders as we make history in Vegas. Steiner's, the Nevada style pub at 8410 West Cheyenne, 1750 North Buffalo, and Las Vegas Boulevard at Windmill. Steiner's, I love this place.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. We got Ronda Kennedy in studio. She's running for Nevada State Senator, and we're taking your phone calls at 702-221-7283. Rhonda, what do you say? What do you say we get right back to the calls? Or I should say get to the calls.
We'll get to the calls.
Yes, let's do that. All right, let's start off with Tracy. Tracy is first up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Tracy. What's going on?
Hi. So, woman
Was
to
this
woman.
Tracy that
Can
was
you
gonna
hear
take
me
my
okay?
man? Oh, that was Tracy. I was going to take my man. Okay.
What happened?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Tracy.
Go ahead, Tracy. Go ahead.
Okay. So, woman to woman. First of all, you said that your main talking point is you want equal rights for women, correct?
My main talking point for what? I didn't understand. You said my main talking
Well,
point.
you want equal rights for women.
Yeah, I
she's
want
asking.
equal, but that I
Right,
didn't say
equal
my
rights.
main
Okay.
talking
Okay,
point. I said
right,
equal
cool.
rights.
One of
No,
your
no,
platforms.
One
you
of
said
my
yes.
equal-
Okay,
Yes.
fine.
Go ahead.
All right, cool. You said yes. Explain to me, woman to woman, if you are not publicly saying what you would do for women, not trans women, women, to get that equal pay, to get that maternity leave, then why are you even running? Because you keep focusing back to trans women instead of saying, you know what? Women have gone through A, B, C, and D. So let me go ahead and focus on that and get that equal pay, get that maternity
Okay,
leave,
fair question.
get that
Let's let
extra
Rhonda answer
medical
that. Go
care.
ahead.
Yes, that's a real question. I don't know, Tracy, if you've ever been on shows or in the media or that. But
Actually, I have, but go ahead.
So and especially like when I'm on Fox or I'm on friendly places, there you get to talk. Here, you don't get to. We may.
Well,
I'm
you
answering
didn't
the
let the
question.
host talk a lot of times either, but go ahead.
Can I answer the question?
Okay, Tracy.
Of course, because I give it as much as I get it, Tracy, as a
Then
as
you
a
should
woman.
be able to take it. Go ahead.
And I have been taking it, Tracy.
But okay, Tracy.
But
let
now
her
I
answer
get
the question.
now I get to
Yeah,
answer
go
a
answer
question.
the question. Go ahead, answer the question. As you were saying, Rhonda.
As a woman, one of the things that I would focus on that's a huge issue are reproductive issues in regards to people being able to have children. There are a lot of states have implemented that IVF treatment and reproductive treatment is actually included and has to be included in the insurance. That's one of my issues for women. I don't know if you have children, but I have a huge community of women who are attempting to have children, and it comes to the point where it's if you can't afford to have a child, you're not unable to have a child. So one of my issues for platforms for women is reproductive rights. Also, equal pay. I do support the equal pay bill. If you're a woman and you're doing the same job, you should get equal pay, and we're not getting that right now. Also, violence against women. I mean, I was able to get a Domestic Violence Against Women's Act. I used that, an I-860 petition for a woman who was being abused. Her husband actually practiced Sharia law on her, and I was able to petition and actually get her citizenship through that Violence Against Women's Act, which is something that was passed, and it was actually reinforced not too long ago. I think it was last year. So there are a lot of women issues that I didn't get to talk about today that affects women. And one of my issues that we were talking about with the trans women community was the fact that some of these things are now going on the back burner. But
so let me ask you a quick question. When Marsha P. Johnson back in the 70s rallied at Stonewall to get trans rights, where was all this uproar then?
I don't know. I don't know. I was born in 72. I was probably in a crib somewhere. I don't know.
Okay, what about in the 80s?
What about in the 80s?
Where was the uproar?
I mean, the uproar for what?
Against trans women. Trans women have been around for God knows how long. Why all of a sudden is this an issue?
Exactly. Why is it an issue? It's an issue when it's
I'm
now
asking
affecting.
you.
Now,
I'm asking
no, I
Republicans.
said.
Why all of a
You're asking Republicans? Are you
only
asking
care
me
about
or are you
what is in
asking
somebody's
Republicans?
pants?
You're asking me or are you asking Republicans? Because I'm an individual.
Well,
just like a
you are
I'm an
spewing
individual.
nothing but Republican talking
I'm an
points. So
that is not true.
if the shoe fits,
Look, if there's a question, I'll be more
All
than
right.
happy.
Well,
to
Tracy,
answer
we
your
got to
question.
move on to some other callers. I do appreciate your call, Tracy. And,
No, I do appreciate you letting me call in.
absolutely.
I do respect you guys. and
Anytime,
everything
Tracy. Thank you so
do.
much. I want to say one more thing before I get to the next caller.
Thanks, Tracy.
Unfortunately, and I'm going to say this in a very general way, because I interview more
what you're gonna
Republicans
say.
than Democrats, some people feel like it's an attack when I challenge people. For the record, I haven't called Rhonda any names. I don't believe I've been disrespectful to her at all, and I believe I've given her more than ample time to answer the questions that I've asked her. I'm sorry she feels that way, but anybody who's been on this show would not call me unfriendly.
Don't be putting words
I'm
in my
sorry.
mouth.
You
I'm sorry. I
said
can laugh.
when
I'm
the
sorry.
call started, you said that I've been on other shows that are not unfriendly, insinuating that I am unfriendly.
No. Okay, let me qualify that statement. Okay. Now, I've been on Young Turks. Okay.
Okay.
Now, would you say that that is when I say friendly, a friendly environment for people who are Republicans? I'm saying that there are shows that you go on that are friendly because you're kind of on this. You're on the same page. It's like if you were a Democrat and you were going on MSNBC or CNN, you'd get a different interview than if you were going on to Fox or something like that. So I don't mean any disrespect to you, and I appreciate the challenge actually, because when I go on shows where we're not all on the same page, it's actually better
glad
to
you
get
clarified
that pushback.
Glad you clarified that.
That's what I was
okay.
saying.
I'm glad you clarified that. Let's move on to the next caller. Let's go to Blake. Blake is next on Pushing the Limits. What's going on,
What's
Blake?
up, Blake?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Yourself?
Hey, so Rhonda, so I am your voting demographic. I am born and raised here in Nevada, and I'm just curious, how long have you lived in Nevada?
I lived in Nevada in 2000, and then I moved from Nevada in 2010, and then I moved back to Nevada. So I've been in Nevada. I was in Nevada in 2000. I left Wisconsin and moved to Nevada. So I was here in 2010. And then
Okay, so it's been over a decade since you've been back, correct?
Well, since I've lived here, not since I've been back. I do business.
Well,
here.
visiting.
I do.
Right.
I do business here. I do business here. I do a lot of business here, and I spend about, when I was in California, I spent about 2 weeks out of the month here. I was here every other weekend, and then some middays.
Gotcha.
So I'm very familiar with Nevada.
Go ahead, Blake.
Gotcha. So my last question is what makes you uniquely qualified to represent Nevadans for the Senate?
Well, what makes me uniquely qualified is that I've already experienced what Nevada is experiencing right now from California. What happens in California always creeps east, and this is where the line has to be held now, because all of the policies that happen in California, it's like a test pilot. They test the program there, and then they start inching it east. Like with right now, there's an assembly bill here in Nevada that wants to start sex ed in school for 9-year-olds at 3rd grade. They've already been doing that in California. It started there, and so these policies that are coming in, and the economy. I mean, California is so bad right now with the economy. Their rules and regulations that they're driving businesses out in droves. It's starting to happen here in Nevada as well. I had a client that wanted to bring a large business here and was kind of hesitant about coming here and was looking more at Texas because the policies of Nevada is starting to resemble California. So before long, Nevada is going to be California, and you're
Blake, I would imagine, Blake, you're a Republican. As a Republican, do you agree with her?
I do think that policies over from California. I mean, that's been a statement, as though California or Nevada. But I don't understand, like, what specifically about you would make you, like, what are you defending for Nevada in the Senate?
Well, I'm defending.
It's not just sex ed, and
no, it's constitutional rights
in the legislature, because that's not something you can control.
I know it's constitutional. It's constitutional rights. I'm a strict constitutionalist. I've been doing that in California. I'm the attorney that filed the federal lawsuit in the Ninth Circuit, which is Nevada as well, that opened the gun stores. That was ruled that it was unconstitutional to close gun stores during a pandemic. I'm the only attorney in the country that actually successfully defended 8 businesses who stayed open during COVID. I beat that county. I forced the county to dismiss their lawsuits. My business got no fines, no penalties. That's what I was doing on a small level. So I'm a constitutionalist, and I fight for constitutional rights. And as an attorney, I'm not afraid to go to court and fight for those rights. So if I'm in the Senate, I'm not going to be afraid to fight for people's constitutional rights and make sure that.
Blake, I appreciate your call. We just got to get to some other callers because we're running out of time. Blake,
thank you.
Appreciate your call, Blake. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Damon. Damon is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Damon.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's up, Damon?
I just got a couple things for the lady. Just to let you know, you should go back and listen to this show. You sound like a transgender because you keep spitting all this Republican stuff. Then you go, but I identify as an independent. But you sound just like a Republican. No, I'm just saying that's what you say. I am an independent.
She identifies as an individual.
I said individual. I said individual.
Okay, we're individual.
Yes, not an independent. I'm a Republican, registered Republican since I was 18.
That's semantics. That's semantics. Well, but what I'm saying, you've got all the Republican talking points.
I don't. Really? Republicans talk about equal pay for women.
You said you was on Fox News. If you on Fox News,
I also said I was on Young. I was also on Young Turks, and I was on other shows as well. So not just
backtrack a little bit.
Republican
Let me just let me just try to backtrack. I think I know what Damon's saying. For example, keeping small businesses open during the pandemic, allowing people to purchase guns during the pandemic, talking about the trans community. Supporting Donald Trump. Some people would say those are sort of right-wing talking points. I think I understand. Damon, am I getting you right?
Exactly. And the thing is, when you accept certain points and you say everything they say, you're guilty by association. You can't pick and choose.
Guilty by association.
You can't pick and choose what you like about it. If that's your side, that's the side you want. You got to take everything.
No, that's not true. It's not the Borg. You don't have to. You don't have to like everything about a party that you belong to. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous to say that. I don't believe. I don't support everything. I don't support everything just because I'm a Republican. I'm not a robot. I'm not a robot. I'm not going to just say, oh, yeah, well, the Republicans want me to vote for that. Oh, yes, sir. Right away, sir. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm an individual. And I talked about, and these weren't Republican businesses that I defended. There were Democrat-owned businesses, too. This was not a party issue. This was an American freedom issue for people who just wanted to earn a living.
Can I ask you a question? Just one question. I'll be done.
Yep.
Go ahead.
What major Republican talking point that you disagree with?
What made one? I'm a life member of the NAACP. I believe.
That's not what
I believe in equality.
They say they're not racist, though.
I'm sorry.
They say they're not racist, so that's not good enough.
Who said they're not racist?
If the Republicans identified as racist, you saying you work with the NAACP would carry weight. But since they say they're not racist, that's not against a Republican point. Name a Republican talking point that you disagree with.
What's a talking point?
Election integrity. Donald Trump.
Election integrity.
Donald Trump won the 2020 election in a landslide. COVID was a hoax. Masks don't work.
Election integrity. Election integrity.
Yep.
I absolutely believe that we should secure our elections because, and I'm telling you, like every.
But that's not disagreeing. I need something you disagree with the Republicans about. Something you disagree.
Okay, what other talking points? Because I don't know talking points.
He said abortions.
Okay, yeah, you don't know talking points.
Was the election in 2020 secure?
You say talking points. It's a vague and ambiguous issue. Give me a specific point. Give me a specific talking point. No, you're asking me.
So Damon, I got to get to some other callers. I think I'll try to take it from here, Damon. I appreciate it. Is Joe Biden a free and fair elected president? Is he a free and fair elected president? Because many Republicans' talking points say that he's not. Is Joe Biden a free and fair elected president, or did Donald Trump win the 2020 election?
I don't know.
You don't know.
How do you not know?
I don't know.
So
he's according to the votes, according to the counted votes, Joe Biden was elected. I don't know about anything else.
Who was yelling at me earlier about statistics
because you know why?
Googling,
No. You know why I say that? It's because you forgot. I was in the 2020 election, and I have pictures, and I will share them with you later. That my supporters who were voting for me in the voting booth on the Dominion machine, the actual congressional race was missing from the Dominion machine. So when you voted and you printed out the ballot, it looked like you did not vote.
So even though there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud, because there isn't, understood. But I'm asking you if you believe Joe Biden was a free and fair elected president, and you can't look me in the eye and tell me yes.
I said
you don't know.
I said I don't know. Is he the president? He's the president. But I said I don't know.
So Trump may have won in 2020. You don't know.
I don't know.
Because you're not sure
because there is, and there has been admitted voter fraud. There has been arrests, but I don't know if there was
voter fraud in every election.
Exactly, but I don't know if it was enough voter fraud to overturn the election. So I don't know.
Real quick, there's a lot of people asking. This is a very important question. I want you to address. Are you licensed in Nevada?
I am not. I'm taking the bar.
702-221-7283. All I will say to that is that it has been proven that there was no widespread voter fraud. And Donald Trump's, you being an attorney, I'm
widespread.
shocked. Okay, but Donald Trump, his own attorneys had 61 opportunities in a courtroom to prove that he won the election or there was widespread voter fraud. 0. He didn't win any of those court cases.
It doesn't matter if you, okay, so you talk about court case, just because your court case is dismissed or something on technicality.
There wasn't evidence.
That does not mean that it wasn't fully adjudicated. And what I'm saying is that to say that you're definitive about anything, you don't know. I don't know. There was voter fraud. Would you agree that there was voter fraud?
That wasn't my question. There's voter fraud in every election.
Yes, there's voter fraud in every election.
But not enough to change the outcome of an election.
But how do we know that?
Because it's been proven. And the voter
how?
fraud that was found, there wasn't enough voter fraud to prove that Donald Trump won the 2020 election.
The fraud that was found, correct?
Yeah, there's no evidence.
So
Where
is it possibility that there was there's
because no evidence has been shown.
No, is it you said the voter fraud that was found? Is it a possibility that there was additional voter fraud that wasn't found?
No, because there's no evidence to support that claim.
I said, but there's no evidence because it wasn't found, right? I said, is it possible that there is more voter fraud that was not found, wasn't discovered?
According to the electorates, many of them Republican judges and Secretary of States, they have certified election, and I'm answering your question in this way. The answer is no, because it hasn't been proven. The earth is not flat.
So there's no possibility?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. There's
because
no
there's no evidence and proof that the election
I didn't say evidence. I didn't ask was there evidence. I said, is it a possibility that there was fraud that was not discovered? Is it possible?
Is there a possibility that there might have been some fraud that wasn't discovered? Well, it was investigated throughout the country.
But it wasn't discovered.
Maybe because it's not there.
Maybe, and maybe not. But But is it possible?
Okay.
So if it's possible, then you can't say definitively whether or not.
I can say definitively, especially when our FBI and CIA can also say it's definitive.
That they don't make mistakes.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's
so the
a lot
FBI
of crimes. And CIA might have made a mistake.
There's a lot of crimes that the FBI hasn't
So the FBI and CIA might have made mistakes, and Donald Trump may have won the 2020 election.
I said it was possible.
You're entitled to your opinion.
There is possible that there was additional
Let's go to Gene. Quickly, Gene, I got a minute for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a comment for Mrs. Kennedy. I know she says she's individual, but I really think she should run Republican because she sounds just as dumb as Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Thank you.
That's how dumb she sounds, so she should go for Republican.
All right, well,
Thank
just
you very much.
To clarify, she is running Republican, and I will say this.
Well, she'll win because she's just as dumb as they are.
Okay, well, I appreciate the call, Gene, but I will say this.
What do you say? I want to know what's dumb.
Well, I will say this.
I like you. If you call somebody a name, I want you to say what's dumb.
She can't say any facts. She got no names. She just talks here and there and twist and turn, and she won't even say anything about Trump, although transgenders put people down all the time, but Trump doesn't. She's perfect for Republican. More power to her.
That makes me dumb.
Okay, well, I will say this in closing. Ronda, this is the third time that she has come in studio. She knows what she's going to get into when she comes in here, but yet she still does so. So I do give her credit for that, and that's more than I could say for a lot of other Republicans that do not want to be challenged, like Joe Lombardo. But Ronda does come in here, and I appreciate you doing that. I have 30 seconds left. I want to give you an opportunity to give out the information people want to learn more about you.
All right. Ronda Kennedy, just simple Google, go to my website, tune in. I'll be on David Webb on the 18th, and check out my website for other places where you can hear me and hear more of my views. But check me out on Twitter.
What's your
Ronda
website?
RondaKennedy.com.
And I appreciate you being here. I truly do. I'm being honest with you.
Somebody's going to buy me a martini after this interview.
No, I do appreciate her being here. She knows she's going to get into it with me, and it's always a good spirited debate. Rhonda, I do thank you. We got to go, but thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here, Rhonda. All right, folks, tomorrow on the show, we got NBA 12-year veteran Paul McKeskey. We've got Guy David and the poker brat. No, the kid poker, I should say, Danny Negreanu. Thanks for joining us, everybody.